Music doesn't really feel personal anymore. Like, it's not bad, it's not worse, it's just kind of like distant. It feels like something that lives on a screen now and something that's always there but never really held. And I don't really think that's because artists have stopped caring or because the music got worse or that we grew up. I think it's just because the way we interact with music has completely changed. And I think I know a way we can make streaming feel more personal than it does now. So stick with me towards the end because I genuinely think this is a great idea. One that could bridge the gap between lifeless streaming and that connection we used to have with physical music. Music used to feel like something that you had a relationship with. You'd wait for albums, you saved up for them, you held them in your hands. You learned the flow of a record without even trying, really, and it felt intentional. It felt like something you were meant to spend time with, and now it's just kind of there. It lives in the background of our lives instead of the center of them. Algorithms decide the mood, skipping decides what survives, and discovery doesn't really feel intentional anymore. It just feels like it happens to you. Music slowly has turned into content, and content is disposable. You listen for a moment, you move on, and it kind of just disappears. And that changes how memories form. Albums don't anchor moments the same way. Songs don't attach themselves to years of your life the same way. Because nothing is really asking you to just stop and slow down. Everything is just built to keep you moving, and that's kind of the part that feels strange. Not the music itself, but it's really just the relationship. That didn't happen by accident, and it didn't happen because musicians wanted it. It happened because platforms quietly changed what music was supposed to do. Music used to be about attention, and now it's about keeping you from leaving. So everything just kind of gets built around speed. Playlists have replaced albums, vibes have replaced artists, moments replace stories, and music just becomes something you pass through and not something that you live inside. And that logic bleeds into everything else as well. Even the way these platforms introduce themselves to you, because now on top of music being disposable, everything is on a subscription. And man, I get that it's probably not going to change, and that sucks, but if you're going to ask people to subscribe, at least give them a reason to care first. So many of these music platforms talk a big game about loving artists, albums, and loving the overall experience, and then you download the app, try to explore, and you can barely see any of that vision without paying $15 up front, just to find out you might not even like it. That is such a bad way to introduce people to music. It turns something emotional into a transaction before it even becomes meaningful. And it kind of says everything about how music is treated now. Not as something you build a relationship with, but for something you temporarily access. And we have completely adapted to that. And artists really feel this. Albums stop being the focus. Careers got shorter. Music turns into output instead of expression. We didn't lose our connection with music. It was just slowly designed out of the experience. And nothing really beats physical media. I can't stress this enough. Vinyl, CDs, tapes, owning something real will always feel different than a file, but I'm also realistic. Most people aren't going to get shelves full of discs anymore. Most people want their entire library in their pocket. So if music has to be digital, if this is the world that we're living in, then I just wish it respected music more than it currently does. And here's what I mean. Imagine opening an album on your phone and it actually opens like a CD. The artwork expands. You flip through a digital booklet, lyrics, credits, photos, notes from the band, stories about how the album was made. You see who played what. You see who produced it. You see human beings behind the sound. You're not just consuming the audio, you're entering the world of the album. And then imagine like a vinyl mode. You drop the record onto a digital turntable, side A, side B. You don't instantly skip tracks, not because you're forced to, but because the design encourages your patience. It creates ritual and it creates intention. You still buy your music. You still upload what you own physically. You still just build a real library and not a rental service. Ownership changes how we value art. When you own something, you protect it, you revisit it, and you grow with it. Streaming today doesn't want that. It wants motion. It's always about motion. But music deserves stillness sometimes, and it deserves space, and it deserves to feel important again. Nothing will ever replace physical music, and that's the truth. But if we're going to live in a digital world, I just wish it felt more human. I wish it felt like something you chose and not something that just happened to you. I wish listening to music felt closer to opening a door than refreshing a feed, closer to spending time with something than scrolling past it, because music isn't just a sound, it's a memory, an identity, and it's a place you go back to when you're trying to remember who you were or figure out who you are. And it deserves to be treated like something that matters and not just another feed fighting for your attention. And if there's already a streaming service out there that already does anything like this, like seriously let me know in the comments. I would genuinely love to check it out. Thanks for watching, God bless, and I will see you in the next video. See ya.